Hello, dear friends. In this video, you will find out who is really to blame for the accident that happened in Chernobyl. It was not easy to find out, but I got to the truth. The blame lies not only on the Chernobyl operators who were on duty that night, and not only on Anatoly Dyatlov, who did not follow safety precautions, and although without their mistakes, the fourth power unit might have been intact, not everyone knows the real culprit. An accident similar to Chernobyl already happened in 1975 at the Leningrad nuclear power plant, very close to the second capital of the USSR, the city of Leningrad, now called St. Petersburg. Everyone was very lucky that the accident was much smaller than in Chernobyl because it is a city of millions of people. Besides, in the city itself, there are a lot of cultural monuments which stand there for several centuries and from radiation, which would have suffered greatly. But despite this, in 1976, Leningrad geneticists recorded a surge of chromosomal anomalies in the city's newborns. And soon the Laboratory of Medical Genetics at the Institute of Experimental Medicine brought babies with Down syndrome from the town of Sosnovyy Bor, where Europe's largest nuclear power plant was operating. Until 1976, children with Down syndrome were not born in the city of nuclear power engineering. Most likely, it was connected with the accident at LNPP. By the way, in St. Petersburg, various monuments still emit radiation. Similar accidents occurred in such cities as Nizhny Novgorod. By the way, in this city, accidents occurred more than once, so the station in this city was closed. There were also accidents in the cities of Balakovsk, Zarekny, and many others, about which information is classified until now, because these cities were closed. I had them on the map, no one had to know about them. The listed accidents happened before Chernobyl, on the RBMK-1000 type reactor, that is. There were many years and many examples that it was time to change and correct the mistakes leading to accidents. But everyone chose the path of silence and ignoring the problems. You may ask, why am I telling you this? It seems that we are here to discuss the main villain of Chernobyl, and not all this, but do not swear, it is all necessary for the subsequent narrative. You will ask how it is connected. At the Leningrad nuclear power plant, the RBMK-1000 reactor was used, which, as you know, was also used in Chernobyl. So, what did the authorities and the nuclear industry do to reduce the risk of similar situations at other nuclear plants? The commission assembled on this occasion issued, please note, just recommendations, the fulfillment of which was not followed by anyone. It was on the conscience of the plant employees. So, it was recommended to reduce the void coefficient and some other safety rules, but again I repeat, most likely, all this remained a recommendation on paper. This document was not available to the masses, or at least to the workers of other stations who worked at stations with the same reactor. After all, no one was supposed to know about the accident, especially outside the Soviet Union, because the Soviet ideology did not allow it. So, in the reactor design itself, there were uncorrected errors, which were not wanted to be corrected because they believed that the Soviet nuclear industry was the best in the world. There was also a belief that serious accidents could not occur at RBMK-1000 reactors. But who was to blame for this? Of course, it is very difficult to find the person who was responsible for the accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and other nuclear power plants. But I conducted a whole investigation, thanks to which I can tell you about it. I'm going to show you how I conducted this investigation. When there's too little information about an accident because it's classified. Important! Not a single computer was damaged. Okay, it's time to get back to the narrative. I'm not quite sure who should be blamed, but here's my take. As I said before, the information about the accidents that occurred in the nuclear power sector in the USSR, no one was supposed to know, not even the inhabitants of the Union. But who was responsible for it? That's right, the Soviet Special Services. In those days, this service was called the KGB, and this service was feared by everyone. And for good reason. They were in charge of classifying information about accidents, including Chernobyl. For example, immediately after the accident, Pripyat's telephone connections were cut off. Everyone was forbidden to enter and leave the city. Thus, residents who guessed about the danger, especially women, took their children and walked from the city through the redwood forest, where the radiation was off the scale. It follows from this logic that Yuri Andropov is to blame for the accident. After all, he was the chairman of the KGB in those years. On the one hand, yes, because he was the one who gave the orders for classification. But on the other hand, he didn't do it on his own whim. Then Leonid Brezhnev and Mikhail Gorbachev are guilty. After all, they were the rulers of the USSR during those years. And again, it was not on their whim that the information about the auroras was concealed. Then who should be blamed? It may sound as stupid and inadequate as possible, but the guilty party can be considered Lenin. Yes, because Vladimir Lenin was the creator of the Russian Revolution and led Russia to socialism. And together with his followers, they established just such a regime in which it was necessary to hide information about accidents. After all, the path of communism, and socialism in particular, requires a policy in which it is necessary to show the world its superiority and superiority in everything and everyone, including nuclear power. Because according to the logic of the communists, even the thought of error in any sphere is inadmissible. And I think that such a policy in principle cannot lead to anything good, because the inability to recognize one's mistakes is one of the weakest aspects of a person, and in our case of the state. That is why the Soviet Union could not last longer than its term. Yes, it was a powerful state, but they chose the wrong path of communism. Is there another way? I think the Soviets could have invented their own branch of communism if they could admit their mistakes. Wait, but they're communists. They can't admit they're behind in anything. So it's a vicious circle? In any case, it is not for us to argue about what path of communism the Soviet Union chose. The following video, a little outdated but very accurately, shows the essence of socialism. Of course, it is very strange to blame the accident on a man who lived half a century before the accident, but it is true. Of course, it would be more correct with my logic to blame ideologists such as Karl Marx, Engels, and others, as well as other Russian communists. Karl Marx, Engels, and others, as well as other Russian communists such as the well-known Stalin, Beria, and others. But still the leader was Vladimir Ulyanov, better known as Lenin. So dear friend, I am very grateful to you for watching this video to the end. For me, it is very important. Write in the comments what you think about it. I will be interested to read. In addition, it will help a lot to develop my small, hopefully only for now channel. I hope this video was useful to you and liked it, and see you soon.